What's going on, everybody? Sean Daniel from Guitar Control here, and today we're going on a journey searching, finding, and destroying guitar chord tones all throughout the neck. So first of all, you're going to want to click the link in the description because it's going to give you a tab of the different voicings and different methods of finding guitar chord tones, so you can kind of check that out while you're going along with the video. But basically, what is a chord tone? Right away, we're going to use a C major chord as an example. So first of all, when you start learning guitar, a C major chord shape is kind of something that you use a lot. One of the first chords you probably learned. And to a certain extent, this is somewhat movable. Like if you move it 2 frets higher, you get a type of D major sounding chord. It's not exactly a D major, but to a certain extent you can kind of move it. Now, what a chord tone is basically the notes that make up this chord. So right here, usually you strum the bottom 5, the 5 highest strings. So if you haven't really taken a lot of time to think about the notes that make up a chord, this could be like a really good lesson for you because there's only 3 notes that go into this chord, even though we're playing 5 strings. It's called a triad. Any 3-note chord is called a triad, right? So any major or minor chord is a triad, 3-note, even though sometimes you take those notes and play 2 or 3 of them sometimes. So if we go through the shape and look at the notes, the 3rd fret on the A string is a C. The 2nd fret on the D string is a E. The open G string is a G. The 1st fret on the B string is a C. And the open E string is an E. So we have a C, an E, a G, another C, and another E. It doesn't matter how many of each type of tone, each note we have, that combination C, E, G is going to give us a C major chord every single time, no matter how you slice it up. So what we're going to do is we're going to find out how we can find these same notes all throughout the fretboard, and we're going to do that by using 3 separate chord voicings. A voicing is just a different way to play the same chord. So again, we're starting off with a C major chord. And now we're going to go into this next one, which is going to be this right here. Now, this actually may look familiar, like you've ever played an A major chord like this, where you just hold down the 2nd fret on the D, G, and B strings. It's going to give us the same tones if we're rooting on a different note. So to find C's A major shaped chord, all we have to do is go an octave from where your ring finger is, this 3rd fret on the A string. Easiest way to find an octave most of the time is go 2 strings higher, 2 frets higher. So right now my ring finger is on the 5th fret of the G string. Now, if we make that A-shaped chord, however you want to look at it, in that spot, that's going to give us the 5th fret on the D string, the 5th fret on the G string, and the 5th fret on the B string. Now those notes are going to be a G, a C, and an E. G, C, E. Kind of like we said at the top of the video, it doesn't matter what order you play the notes C, E, and G in, how many of each one you have, the combination of those 3 notes give you a C major chord, even though the lowest note is a G. This could be called an inversion. That's another vocab word maybe you've heard of. It's where the lowest note isn't the root note. So we can go from this C chord to this C chord. And then we're going to do one more, and then we're going to kind of put them together in a different musical way. And it's going to be this one right here. Now, right now, my ring finger is on the 10th fret of the D string. My middle finger is on the 9th fret of the G string. And my pointer finger is on the 8th fret of the B string. So now I have a C. This note right here is a C. I have an E and a G. So if you kind of hear all 3 of those chord voicings back to back, you can tell that's still the essence of the C major chord, even though they sound a little bit different. That's why it's really valuable to learn different chord voicings throughout the neck, because you'll always be able to find the chord tones, the chord that you're looking for, no matter where you're playing. So a good way to kind of start thinking about this is to maybe try to link these together somehow. So let's take that C major chord, and we're going to skip all the way to the 3rd voicing that we did. So now, the thing that I think of when I have this pointer finger on the B string is there's a common thread that connects that shape with this shape, okay? And that's that my pointer finger is on the B string. This one is on the 1st string, this one, or the 1st fret, this one is on the 8th fret. So I can kind of run this all the way down, and using the B string as my guide to connect those chord voicings to find the chord tones that I want to use. Now, another thing that we can do is we can connect this with things that we already know. Like, let's say the pentatonic scale is something that a lot of guitar players also learn right away. And the pentatonic scale that goes really well with C major is going to be the A minor pentatonic scale. So if you know that position right there, where it's just like the 5th fret, we can start to kind of maybe connect some of these to each other. And I think that's really what kind of good all-around guitar playing is having a good understanding of chords, scales, arpeggios, and like lead playing, and be able to combine rhythmic playing into like just kind of putting everything in your bag of tricks, put them together in this way. And I think learning different chord voicings is a great way to do that. And then maybe seeing the scales and how they connect each other to kind of just really wrap the whole thing together. So these are totally movable shapes. And what I mean by that is like if you try to move that C major chord just like this in own position and try to play it on a C sharp, it doesn't sound good. There's a lot of dissonance because the open strings keep kind of getting in the way. But if we just take the lowest 3 strings there, even though I realize right now the G string is open, we're going to move this 2 frets higher to a D chord. So now, like we talked about, that'll give you a D major sounding chord, but it's not truly a D major chord. We have the D with your ring finger. Right here, that's the F sharp with my middle finger on the 4th fret. Now we'd have to grab the 2nd fret on the G string to get the A, which is a D major chord. It's a D, an F sharp, and an A. So you don't even have to play it like this. Right now I'm getting 5A, 4D, 2G. You can play it. Some people like to make that stretch. But the movable shape version of those chord tones looks just like that. And now we can kind of do the same thing we did with the C major chord, where remember, an octave away is where that A major shape exists for this note. So there's my D major. I can take it into that same thing to get those same 3 chord tones. And this works for any single major chord that you could possibly go to, wherever you are. Even if you're on like a C sharp. We're kind of connecting those. And then we'll do the 3rd one for a D chord, which is right here. My ring finger being on the 12th fret of the D string. And then we just kind of staircase it up. When I say a staircase, it's just you go 1 fret lower, 1 string higher. So 12, D, 11, G, 10, B. So we can kind of connect those 3 voicings. And by doing that, and even then, maybe you could use existing voicings of chords you know, like a D major. This probably isn't the D major you think of. You probably think of this right here. So we can kind of add this to this to this to this, and you're covering so much ground. That's almost the entire usable fretboard on an acoustic guitar anyways. And then by the time you get to this 12th fret to play this, we're close enough to getting the original D chord shape anyways. So by connecting these voicings together, finding these common chord tones, you're really covering a lot of fretboard real estate. So I want to do one more and do a minor one, because you're going to see just as many minor chords as major chords. And we're going to start with a really popular one, A minor. All right, same deal. It's a triad. Still, it's a 3-note chord. For example, this open A minor chord, I have the open A string, which is the A, 2 on the D string, which is the E, 2 on the G string, which is another A, 1 on the B string, which is a C, and then open E. So any combination of the notes A, C, and E are going to give you an A minor chord. Now, a really nice thing to do is, remember when we did the C major chord, and we had that A shape for its 2nd voicing? We can just move that down a string and get the bottom 3 strings on the 5th fret, and that's going to give us our minor chord voicing. So we can go from this A minor to this A minor. And again, this also really works well with scales. That pentatonic A minor, right there's your A minor chord voicing. Again, so this is a C, this is an E, and this is an A. The root note being on top, the highest note in the chord voicing. Another way to find a chord, and sometimes an easier way to play a chord too, because it's really nice. You can just slap your 1 finger over those 3 strings. And then we're going to go into a 3rd chord voicing just like before. Now, these are going to technically be the same notes. And this is a minor voicing that I really recommend everybody learn because it's really helpful in finding different things. So right now I've got my middle finger on the 10th fret of the D string, which is a C. My pointer finger on the 9th fret of the G string, which is an E. And then the A, the root note, being the 10th fret of the B string. In fact, this shape might look like a D7 chord voicing, if you've ever seen that, just moved up a string. So this will always give you a minor chord. So we can run these three voicings together. A minor, A minor, A minor. All right? And just like before, we can kind of maybe take one to the other. And the common thread between these two is my middle finger is on the D string for this A minor. I can run that all the way to the 10th fret and kind of have that anchor this one. So it kind of just kind of two ways to play the same chord, but maybe do it in a little more of an exciting way by kind of adding that slide into the way. And then you can maybe hit that on the way back, that other voicing. So this is totally movable just like anything else. We could do the B minor version of this. Let's take this A minor chord, 2 frets higher. Now again, I can't play the open strings when I do this. I mean, it doesn't sound awful, but that's not technically giving us a B minor triad. It's just a shape that we're moving. And then again, we would just take this. When we had the A chord, we just went right here. Like again, if you want to think of the distance between there, something that I think of when I think of like connecting this to this, I think of having my pinky right here and then going down 2 frets higher. Same thing with the B minor. If you have your pinky there to kind of make a like a 7 chord, again, that's just, you don't have to worry about that if you don't want to. 2 frets higher, there's your B minor shape. And then just like the A minor was here, we take it here. So B minor, B minor, B minor, A minor, A minor, A minor. And again, the distance between these shapes is something that translates to any single minor chord. So now that you have 3 different shapes each for major or minor chords, it's a great way to find those individual notes that make up the chords. You don't always have to play them as chords. Like again, for the minor thing, let's kind of jump back and forth between playing parts of the A minor pentatonic and then kind of incorporating some of these voicings. Maybe if we're in a position on the neck where you're here, you can jump from that voicing into like a really simple pentatonic thing, and then just lead your way back to an open position. So we're just connecting all the dots and kind of using them through chords and finding those very valuable chord tones within them. So if you have any questions or feedback on the video, please hit us up in the comments and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Thanks a lot. So if you learned anything from this incredibly informative and well put together video, please feel free to click around and check out some of my other videos, because I try to put the same quality and love into each one every single time. So again, thanks a lot for watching, and I hope you learned something new.